This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 70 of the Dressage Radio Show on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Back on Track with the generous support of Equestrian Collections and Kentucky Performance Products. This is Chris Stafford with the Dressage Radio Show from the Alltech Pavilion at the Alltech FEI World Equestrian Games, day one of competition from the Grand Prix Dressage, and I have a very special co-host with me today on our first day of coverage here on the Dressage Radio Show, Carl Hester from Great Britain. Carl, you've been on the show before. Great to have you here. You're going to be my co-host today?
Yeah, I am going to be your co-host. I'm looking forward to this because we also have my friend Catherine from the American team here. So I'm looking forward to seeing what she's got to say about her test. I've been watching the tests all day, and it's been an interesting day here. Different conditions, different types of tests, and different types of judging as well, all been going on here today.
Well, welcome, of course, as you said, to your friend and our friend of the Dressage Radio Show, America's own Catherine Bateson-Chandler. Second time on the show, Catherine. Welcome back.
Yes, thank you very much. It's great to be here again.
It's great to have you, especially today. You have just been the last horse and rider to compete in the first day of the Team Grand Prix, of course. It looked like it was going really well for you out there. You finished on a great score, 69 points something. Right. Good enough?
I'm thrilled. It was a little bit the unknown. I don't know my horse as well in this kind of big arena. I know he's been in this kind of big arena before, but I haven't. So I didn't really know what to expect, but he's been training really, really well, and I'm thrilled.
Well, it really was a great start. Didn't they look good to you, Carl? I know you were watching eagerly, being close friends with Catherine.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine. I mean, I've obviously travelled halfway around the world to try and win a medal for the Great Britain team, but obviously it's great to see Catherine out here because I know she's worked so many years to be in this situation. I thought the horse looked great. I mean, he's an enormous horse. I don't think anybody, sitting in the stands or watching realises what a huge horse this one is. He's massive. And, Catherine needs to eat a little bit more to get a bit of bulk behind her so she can drive him along. But I said to her afterwards, what was so lovely about it is the fact that it's easy to watch. And I think that's really important in dressage. Ease and how the lightness really came through. And okay, she had some mistakes. I'm sure she'll tell you about that. But I mean, actually, it's quite interesting because some horses that make mistakes seem to make a huge mistake because it can be a little bit of a mess, perhaps, or the horse is very strong, or
right.
And then the mistakes tend to look like a 4. Yeah. Whereas, okay, Catherine made a mistake, but if you still have a nice balance and you still have lightness, there are other marks to take into consideration. So, her mistakes end up more on a 6, let's say. And that's, I think, an important factor when you're watching dressage. The good ones are so easy to watch, and even the ones that make a mistake, they're easy mistakes to watch. Not that they feel like that for a rider, of course, but I think for her ride, and as we know, I mean, a first championship for any rider. Interestingly enough, I think that, Catherine says she's not nervous at her first major championship. Well, I rode my first world championship 20 years ago, and I wasn't nervous either because I just thought it was a big party and it was a dream, and everyone was waving, and I'd never been, cheered and clapped before, and it was like, oh, wave back, have a nice time, and I'm doing a test as well. I mean, for me, 20 years later, I feel wretched about the fact I've got to ride tomorrow. And hopefully Catherine will go through those feelings in later years as well.
Well, there must be nervous moments, preparing, to go into a competition like this. You're on home turf on a world stage. Well, we should point out, you're an expat, made in England. Yeah. But
that's why she's invited on the show. She's really British. She just got the wrong passport.
I've switched sides.
But you've done it very gracefully, I must say. Though you told us when you were on the show before how you got your start here with Robert Dover, of course, who's a great friend of the Dressage Radio Show. But coming into this as the rookie on the team, Catherine, you must have felt something, didn't you, in preparation?
I think the trials for me were very nerve-wracking because I wanted to be on the team so badly, and that was sort of the whole setup of purchasing this horse, so that was a bit nerve-wracking. But honestly, from the beginning with this horse, I've sort of been thrown in the deep end. I didn't have any breaks. There was no test that I could throw away. So I've had to do well each and every test. So actually, to be here was a bit of a relief. And all day, yesterday, I felt very nervous for some reason. But all day I was relaxed, and it actually made me more nervous that I wasn't nervous. I thought, well, maybe I need to be more nervous. But my horses felt better and better every single day I've been riding him. So that gives you confidence. You know, if you can go on every day, he's been so consistent. He comes out every day with a smile on his face. He's thrilled to be a working animal. And he's very special that way, and I'm a very lucky person to have him.
That must make an enormous difference that the horse has the work ethic that you need, so you can just get on with the job with him when you get here. We should remind our listeners, Carl Hester, of course, riding for the British team. Tomorrow you go with Liebling, a horse that you rode and you didn't ride, and now he's back in the tack with you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, people laugh at me at home and say only Carl could have sold it, now get the ride back. And I'm very lucky to have the ride back. I mean, it just didn't quite work out time-wise, really, for Cheryl, who is going to ride him, hopefully still. She took him on a very short time space for her qualifications. And, you know, even when you take on a made horse that someone else has ridden, really you are looking at a good year to really get your fine-tuning sorted out. And, you know, Catherine's done it in a very short time. So that's another important factor in this, that they gel very quickly. But I find that even horses I've taken on with the experience I've had, that it does take me a year to find the buttons and the way of going, and, you know, the horse adjusting to me adjusting to the horse. Yeah. And Cheryl just ran out of time for her qualification, so she said to me, you know, would you like to have it? It would be a waste for him not to go to the World Games, which was very generous of her and John. And I took the opportunity and took him to Hickstead, and he was third or fourth in the Grand Prix and got my 70%, which I needed to be part of the team again. Of course, I know him very well. I have actually ridden him 2 years previously to that, and he was part of our silver medal winning team last year at the European Championships. So it was just like, you know, getting back onto an old mate. And yeah, I'm going to go tomorrow, and I've been drawn third, obviously, for tomorrow. Very more pressure for me really now, I think, because Laura is obviously Laura Bechtelsheimer is obviously our great hope for a big score. Our two girls today were fantastic. Maria 68 and Fiona 70. I mean, both girls full stretch to get those scores in, because we've lost Emma Hindle, who was a very high scorer for us last year. And I think now they've done as well as they can go. You know, it makes me feel like, holy hell, if I don't come up with my score that I'm supposed to get tomorrow, you know, each and every one of us will feel like that. I mean, you know, let's face it, there's all the teams, you know, we're all here to win, and we've all travelled halfway around the world to do the job. Yeah. And, you know, today what brought it home to me was seeing Patrick Kittel, actually. You know, I think he's a linchpin for the Swedish team, let's say. And to see his score at 66, when, you know, I think you would expect perhaps 73, 74, just made me realise, look, it can go wrong for anybody.
Yeah, you know, well, we should point out that horse has been off all summer. So.
It has, but, you know, he's an experienced horse, and, you know, he's coped in these situations before. But that arena, I think, to go in with if you have a hot horse, if you have a young horse, I mean, it's just not what you think. It's not riding at home. I mean, you know, this added atmosphere when they go in creates problems that perhaps, you know, we're not used to handling. So I'm just keeping my fingers crossed. I'm pretty confident that Liebling will go round the edge. That would be a good start, and I will make the first centre line, and then, like I said, I have to go mistake-free. That's my job, and see what sort of score I can
if you follow Catherine's pattern of being nervous the day before, you should get it all over with today and just sail in there.
A night's sleep would be nice. I mean, that's really what I'm looking forward to, if I could get one, a night's sleep. I mean, you know, I think most competitors will probably tell you when you're on a horse, you're fine. You get on, you know you're doing a job, you're concentrating, your nerves go, and that's a good competitor. It would be weird still not to feel any sort of butterflies or nerves. I think, you know, if you didn't feel that, something must be really wrong. Either you need a pacemaker, or I don't know, you need to speed your heart up. But I'm looking forward to it, and it's a big pressure. And, you know, I mean, Catherine and I, as you know, have been friends a long time, and we talk about, you know, the team. I mean, you know, the American team and the British team are both in a running for a medal, and the Germans and the Dutch, I mean, they're four very strong teams. I mean, the Dutch obviously look like a runaway victory, but who knows? And those other three teams coming along behind it's just going to be neck and neck all the way.
Yes, it's going to be very
Whoever's going to be fourth.
Very tight to get on that podium, between you guys. I think we should have you on later on, or at least after WEG, you two. And see.
Maybe a couple of weeks after WEG. Then we've all joined hands again.
Well, Carl, you watched your teammates go, two teammates. Did you get a chance to watch Todd and...
I came up and watched Todd, of course, and supported him. Him and Pierre, who did the test ride. Those are the only two rides that I actually saw, because unfortunately they don't have a closed circuit television that's close enough in the stable, which was a bit of a shame because we didn't get to watch much. And it is a bit of a drive to get up there. And Todd did a great job. He had a couple of really expensive mistakes. His horse has a fantastic Dressage.
This is Todd Fletcher we're talking about with Otto, of course.
Otto. And he's a really great guy. He rode really well. So we're proud of him.
Absolutely. Now, being first time on the team, and we know we've got the old hand here sitting beside you who's done it all before. What's it like to actually suddenly be part of a team and have that support crew and everything that, it's a new environment for you to be part of, isn't it?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, I groomed for many years for Robert Dover, so I was part of a team in that respect, so I got to see how teams work.
But as a rider now.
And how they don't work.
See,
we have had...
Having people wait on you for a change,
Catherine. Sometimes. We actually have a really special team this time. I mean, as I said, I've been involved with teams for many years, and I've seen the ups and downs and people getting along and not. And we have 4 people that get along incredibly well. We have very similar sense of humor, which gets us in trouble sometimes.
That's dangerous.
But we have had, I have to say, we've had more fun in the last month than I can ever remember having in my life, which... you a little bit sometimes dread being on the team because the pressure sometimes tears people apart, and it goes the other way. I've seen many people never ride again after stuff like this because it just, makes them so miserable. But we've had the opposite effect. We just have we've all been friends for years before this. Right. So it's been great. And Stefan's our team captain, and of course he's been there, done that, and he's a very calm individual and is a great support to all of us. He's helped us all from a trainer standpoint on the ground. And he's just a really great guy.
Let's just talk a little bit. Carl, you can tell me what you think. This is your first time here, right? I mean, into the Kentucky Horse Park for dressage competition. We're used to hosting jumpers and eventing here, but for you guys to come in from overseas and see this facility that we have here at the Kentucky Horse Park, what are your impressions of the footing and the facilities for the horses?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. This is just one of the best places I've ever been to in my 20 years of competing. The footing is exceptional, feels brilliant. I mean, it's quite funny, obviously, having a ride from a stable up through a gallop track to get down to the arena. We're all supposed to be on relaxed dressage horses, and they hit that gallop track on the way to the arenas. And we're very often, we have been in the last few days, of course, being passed by hundreds of endurance riders and eventers training on the track. And there's been a few white-faced dressage riders, but I come from an eventing background a little bit, so I was quite happy to amble up and down the track with my horse and pull it up if he thought he was going to run away. But it's a really great place, this. I just love the space. I think it's great for certain riders who like to hack their horses as well. Right. I mean, it's not all about, some of these horses are old. Some of them are well-schooled that they don't need to be doing dressage every day. And here you have the facilities to actually take them for a hack, give them a little bit of air, let them see the sights. It's all part, and for the young horses, this is very important as well, because it's all part of growing up. And if they come to a show like this where they see so many sights, then when they get to Europe, for instance, to the Arkans and these big shows, they're going to be educated. Yeah. So it's an education all round for the horses. And of course, it's great for the riders to be here. And I love the Yanks. They're great. They're very hospitable. They look after us beautifully.
Well, you had to say that with Catherine sitting beside you.
No, but they do. We've had some, we've done some nice things since we've been here. We've been here 2 weeks, and we will be 2 weeks. And last week we went. I live at Keeneland. I mean, We went to Keelan. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. I mean, it was like, and like the sales, it was like bringing a horse into your living room to sell it. Just fantastic. So there's some dirty old field in England. I'm sitting in someone's sitting room watching a horse come in and sell for 125,000. It was unreal. It's great, and I'm glad I've done it. It's just something else for the book when I'm old. Really, I did that.
Yes, something else for the memoirs. Well, as you said, the footing is wonderful here. We have that Otto all-weather footing. I know since it's been down here, the jumpers are loving it. The dress, we don't have as much dressage as we do jumping in that arena. What did it feel like to ride off there today after the rain? Because we should point out we had a pretty wet day here in the horse park today.
It was absolutely perfect. I mean, I always think if you don't think about the footing, then the footing's good. If you start to think about the footing, then it's not good. And I didn't even think twice about it. You don't think about doing extended trots or worry about doing extended canters. The footing is fantastic. I mean, there's nothing you'd want to change about this. It obviously takes the weather really well. But when it was dry and hot and hadn't had rain in forever, it was also good. So what more could you want? Yeah,
really superb. And the facilities for the horses, as you say, especially after they've come a long way. They've been flying halfway around the world, some of them, to have this kind of environment to just relax and go on a long range around the park. A long range, she says, if you're not, if they behave.
Absolutely, and I mean also what's important from the stabling point of view is they're so airy here.
Yeah.
So that's really important now. I mean we all are onto welfare and management. We have support teams, but all these things, you can't do anything about the fact if you go to a show and you have a 10 by 12 stable. Which is still often the case in some European shows. But to come here and have these really open stables, good airflow, it's great for the horses, and it's hopefully home from home.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the top of the leaderboard as it stands after first day's dressage. Carl, you've been watching it also. We'll get your thoughts, and Catherine's when we come back in just a second.
Are you attending the World Equestrian Games right now? If so, stop by Back on Track's booth, number 418, to see why so many professional dressage riders, eventers, and show jumpers from around the world use Back on Track's therapeutic products for themselves and their horses. Top dressage rider Michelle Gibson says, Back on Track's new exercise boots are the best exercise boots ever. Back on Track is a therapeutic product line used on horses to help keep them sound. From blankets to knee boots to hock boots to leg wraps. Check out them at the World Equestrian Games booth number 418 or online at backontrackproducts.com. That's backontrackproducts.com.
Well, I'm back here. It's Chris Stafford in the Old Tech Pavilion at the FEI World Equestrian Games. Day one of competition, the Grand Prix, and we've had some fantastic sport, but we had some awful weather here today, guys. Carl Hester with me, Catherine Bates at Chancellor, let's get it right. Also just come out of the arena having finished her test, and we had wet conditions, but we saw some nice rides today early on. As you said earlier, Carl, of course, the Dutch red-hot favourites for this, and they got the start with Nadine, Eskes Nadine with Hans-Peter Minderhoen. That was an unfortunate situation for him. I heard that mare slipped over and fell a couple of days ago.
Yeah, he had a very tricky preparation, so all credit to him for putting off what he did today. I mean, the horse slipped in the stable yard, actually walking around a corner with him on top, came down on the tarmac and had several cuts, let alone, bruises, obviously, I would imagine. They can't speak, can they? But, you would just imagine, coming down on the tarmac is going to be pretty sore.
I believe she did the splits.
Yeah, she was very lucky not to get damaged and make the trot up yesterday. I saw her at the trot up. She trotted brilliantly. She flew up there. Yeah. So she obviously was very lucky in the way she fell. And then today she did a great test for them to kick off. And of course it was very important to him that obviously A, the horse was okay, and B, he has to start, even though, he has three other members. But if he didn't start, he's not part of the medal.
Right.
So it was great that A, the horse was okay, number one, and B, he was going to just try and just give her an easy test anyway because of obviously the preparation. And she was just flying today. So
she was, except, you could see it in her rein back. She clearly felt it, and she must have been so uncomfortable. That rein back, you could tell something was wrong when she did back up.
Yeah, a rein back obviously is using a different part of the horse's body, and having to, round her back and push her hind legs more under. The free forward stuff you could see was very comfortable again for her and easy. She had two scores of 75%. That's going some. She also had a 68, but That's how it goes. People see different things from different angles. And then, of course, to have Sunrise come in, she made one major boo-boo in the middle of the test in her zigzag where she didn't make the flying change, so she actually leg yielded the other way.
Right. Well, before we go into it, we should just point out Hans Peter's score, of course, because as you say, that's critical to the team. 72.255 he finished on today, Carl. And then, as you mentioned, the other really critical ride for the Dutch was Imke Schelleke-Bartels with her mare Sunrise, and she's gone right into the lead with that. Did you watch that test?
I did watch that test. I mean, I love watching that horse. It's it really reminds me of what I was saying earlier, of like watching something that's easy. I mean, she's so elegant and light. She's not a horse with like a massive amount of power, but she just flies across the floor. And, you would certainly, if you were down on ground level next to that arena, you would not hear that horse doing her test. She is that light. I mean, it's such a lovely, just a beautiful thing to watch.
Does she remind you a little bit of Rembrandt being light?
She reminds me very much of that, very much. And her Piaffe Passage is almost a little bit the same way. She's almost a little bit Passage in her Piaffe. It's all springing and in the same rhythm. And she just had this one major mistake, actually, in the zigzag, which, has the coefficient of 2. So to finish on her score of just over 73%, obviously with the big mistake in the middle, I think where she had 4s for her zigzag, she would have been a very high scorer. I mean, 73. I mean, most of us dream of 73. But she could have made 75 today. She was really on form. She was in a great shape in her frame. Really in a nice, looked very balanced. And Imke is, again, so tidy and accurate. So I really enjoyed watching that test.
Well, we've got a lot more to come, of course, tomorrow, where the team medals are going to be decided.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to take a short break when we come back in just a second.
Equestrian Collections is your source for all of your dressage and tack equipment needs. From Anki, Kiefer, Veridus, Bates, Vespucci, Wintec, and more. Shop in comfort and equip your dressage horse in style at equestriancollections.com. And become a fan on Facebook and join in one of the most vibrant communities on Facebook with over 23,000 fans. And you can win cool stuff there, too. Remember, that's equestriancollections.com for all of your dressage needs.
Well, I'm back here. It's Chris Stafford in the Old Tech Pavilion at the FEI World Equestrian Games. Day one of competition, the Grand Prix. Annabelle Valkenhol. That was a horse that we were looking forward to watching. Did you get to see her ride for the Germans?
Yeah, I did, and she had a difficult ride, Annabelle. She had some problems. I mean, the horse is young. This is what we were saying earlier. Dablino. And he's a young horse, and he's a hot horse, and he's a great horse. You can see the potential for his future is enormous. But, he was one of the young horses that came in, and he was a little bit blown by the atmosphere. He spent most of his time looking. He wasn't really through enough in his neck, so he was just a little bit tense and tight. And, I mean, he did some great stuff, and I think it was there for everybody to see. Anybody that knew anything about dressage could see that there's one of the great horses of the future. But today, he had really too many mistakes, and his walk was very difficult because he was walking straight up towards the judges, and I don't know what he saw. Maybe it was a judge, but it made him a little bit nervous, and his walk got very difficult. So she just lost a few points, but I know that she felt a little bit nervous. And can you imagine the pressure of being on the German team?
Well, absolutely.
They're struggling to get back to that gold medal position, and they're getting the horsepower to do it. You can see that. So I think, that will certainly happen for that horse. It just wasn't his day today.
Well, great experience for him, obviously.
He will go back a better horse than this, I'm sure of it. I mean, he did get better as the test went on, and I think that is really what we're looking for. If the horse gets worse and worse and you're having to retire, then you're in trouble. But actually, he got more and more relaxed as he went along, and he finished the test in a better way than he started. So that'll have been a good learning experience for him.
Did you see the other German, Christoph Koschel, with Dom
that's also going to be great.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really nice to watch. Very
they finished
round.
I think 72.63.
Yeah.
And so that was a good score is where they want to be, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good sort of silver medal type of ride. You can see that some very expressive movements. Just had a little bit of problems with one of the Piaffes, but again, a lovely. These are young horses, so really exciting for their team to have these coming along. And I thought he did a super job.
Absolutely. Now, did you see anyone else, Catherine, or were you just busy preparing for your day?
No, I usually actually don't watch when I compete, the day that I compete. So I only got CR riders because that was important to be there to support them. And we had the test rider, like I said, Pierre St. Jacques, who did a great job.
Right.
And then I watched Todd, who's a very close friend of mine. So
right.
Great.
So for you, Catherine, tomorrow is a rest day. So you'll just work your horse lightly, will you, then, and come and cheer on Carl? Is that the deal?
I will. Absolutely.
She won't live to see the end of the day if she's not in her British outfit with her British flag. She can hide around the corner for all I care, but she will be wearing the right flag.
Yeah, but actually, it was.
I mean, we've even double-barreled her name to make her sound British. So, Bates and Chandler, that's so English. So there's no way she's escaping from that tomorrow.
Yeah, I am going to come and watch tomorrow, though. I'll cheer everybody on, my friends, whether from whatever country they're from, but obviously we'll be hoping that the USA kicks Britain's ass.
Yeah.
Dream on, lady.
Well, yeah, it's all to play for tomorrow, as I said, for the medals. We know that the Dutch have come in here as hot favourites, and we know we're going to see two really super tests tomorrow from them. The Germans, all the pressure's on them to stay in that position, and stay within reach of that silver medal. But you guys, I think the British team, the American team, they're the ones who are going to be fighting for the bronze. What do you think the prospects are right now of that? I mean, realistically, Carl, what are your expectations for the rest of the team and where you might finish tomorrow?
I mean, well, who could say? I mean, listen, it depends on my ride, it depends on Laura's ride, it depends on the two American riders. I mean, they are. If you look at their scores, actually, over the last couple of years, Tina's a new horse to me. I haven't really seen that before. I've only seen it on YouTube. But the scores that she's been getting in Leaving, for instance, are very similar. And then you've got Ravel and Mistral's Horace. Mistral's Horace, number 3 in the world at the moment. Ravel, we haven't seen out for a while, but he's looked great in his training. And, they are two top horses. So literally, I can't think of anything closer than if Tina's horse and my horse go as well as they can go, and Ravel and Mistral, two of the best horses in the world, going against each other. We also have Total S and Parsifal. I'm not forgetting those. They're also like that top group. But I honestly couldn't predict it. It will just depend on who gets a good night's sleep, which horse is willing to go tomorrow at its best, and if us riders can be as focused as we ever have been. This is a world championship. This is huge.
Yeah.
And I can't think of anything closer. I don't know how it'll end up, but if we're fourth, I'm out of here. And of course I'm not.
And you have to buy the drinks, Catherine.
Well, you know what? We also have to remember one other thing. The top 5 teams qualify for the Olympics, so we do have a job to do, actually, apart from just, it's not just about winning medals. Our horses can only go as well as they can go, let's face it. And so there's no good, dreaming beyond, possibilities. But, it would be nice to think that, we'd still go, well, we qualify for the Olympics. Obviously, they're in London. We want to be there.
So do we.
So there is another job in hand here as well.
Yeah, people often forget that, but of course it's critical for each nation, and that's what it's all about today and tomorrow. We're going to take another short break, Carl, and hear from our friends, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about what to expect, what your preparation will look like tomorrow, and and how Catherine's going to spend tomorrow with her horse too, and cheering on her. So don't go away, we're back in just a second.
All horses have individual nutritional needs, and we know that meeting them can be challenging. It doesn't matter if you are a professional horseman or a weekend warrior. You want to provide the nutrition necessary for your horse to thrive. The experts at Kentucky Performance Products understand this and have developed supplements that target specific needs. KPP's products are formulated to complement today's feeds and safeguard against over-supplementation. Best of all, their supplements work. To choose the right KPP supplement for your horse, go to kppusa.com. Or to learn more about horse nutrition and interact with the experts at KPP, join their Facebook page. Just search for Kentucky Performance Products.
Well, Carl, we got another day of this competition. You are going to be in the tack early in the morning, I guess probably at dawn. What kind of preparation would you have on a day of competition? Being as experienced as you are, do you have a kind of a routine? Are you superstitious? Do you do anything special?
No, I'm suffering from jet lag. So, that's my first job. My first job, we'll be able to get a good night's sleep.
No, you didn't hear Catherine make excuses.
No, because she's just come down the road. I mean, it's fine for her. I haven't been sleeping well, so I just want to try and get a good night's sleep. I will. It's inevitable the day you're going to ride. Your eyes will pop open all through the night as you start thinking about how to prepare. And I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning. So, I mean, I will get up, eat a light breakfast.
Do you
something
exercise?
Solid.
Do you do any cross-training, Carl?
No, I do running.
Okay.
I do running. I have been running this year. I don't normally, I must say, but as I'm reaching an age where I can feel my middle growing, I've been trying to help myself get a little bit fitter. And like I said, I think the main thing is when I'm on, I'll be fine. So, I mean, my preparation will just be, bear in mind, I've got a 10-minute walk from the stables to the warm-up, because this is quite a long way compared to any other show we've done. So I've got to tack on 10 minutes of walking to get down there. And, unfortunately for me, my trainer, Anna Van Olst, who's on the Danish team, has also been drawn rider number 3, and she's actually 2 horses after me, so I'm trainerless tomorrow. So I'm calling in the ranks of Ferdy. Ferdy's going to stand at one side, and Fiona Bigwood's going to stand at the other.
Ferdy Alberg, of course, the father of Maria Albergus on the British team.
She went today, did a good job, and so I'm going to have a few little pixies dotted around the arena to just give me some pointers. I know what I'm doing, but I just obviously need a little bit of help with a little bit more of this. This is fine-tuning now. That's what I'm looking
right, because when you get to
in.
that stage, Carl, you know what you need to do to the horse and how much you can work him before he goes in the ring.
Yeah, I do, but I mean, what is missing if you don't have your help is just confidence, really. Yeah, he looks great. No, that need a bit more of this, more forward, less of that, and obviously my trainer would know my horse better. So, we'll know exactly what's better. But I know Lenny, as I call him, Liebling, very well. So I'm just going to get my warm-up tips from my team guys. And I had a good ride today with him and just ran through most of the movements of the test. I mean, basically, if I was at home, for instance, I would, we don't really practice the test, obviously, very much, especially with the Hoyt's 13. So he's been competing Grand Prix for 2 years, 3 years even. So it's just a question. I mean, he had to arrive here just being fit, and I took the unusual step in the middle of this week of giving him a day off, much to the horror of some of my teammates. But I know that that's what he needs. He does not do 8 days training and expect to be fresh for tomorrow. So he had Saturday as his day off, and then he's worked, obviously, the last 2 days in preparation for tomorrow.
Right, and of course the draw makes all the difference, because either you have a day before Grand Prix and the special, or you don't.
Yeah. I mean, well, this is where my realism would step in, where I would say, at this moment, I'm quite simply here for the British team. That's what I've been focusing on. Right. The fact that I'll get a ride in a special, if I did, would be a bonus. And if I got to the music, it would be a huge bonus. So I'm quite simply here for the team. He will be a little bit tired if I got through to the special on Wednesday. But, I need a good ride for the team. It's really for us in Great Britain, having a good team score is about funding. So, if we come back with a good score, then, it means we have funding for the next year, really. So, individually, it's not so important. I mean, it would be great for rankings, obviously, but really it's the team that comes first. So Thursday's a day off anyway, so I wouldn't work him on Thursday, for instance, even if I got through to Friday. So he will have a day off, and they actually fly home on Saturday. So it'll have been a busy time.
It's a fast week.
It's a fast week, but it's also, this is it for the season. So, I mean, basically he'll come home and, he'll go out in the field for a few weeks just to really wind down and rest before he'll be built up again.
Yeah, and Catherine, what about your horse now? Did he feel the atmosphere, by the way? Because there was a crowd there, even though they were on one side of the arena mainly because of all the rain. Riding in there, did he lift up to the occasion?
I think he's a bit of a showman, and he went in there and he knew it was a big occasion, and he picked himself up, and he felt great. I mean, it really was a positive thing for us to have all that, and just riding around with everybody cheering for you. I've never really had that experience before, and like Carl said, this is my first time doing that. So that was thrilling for me and him.
Yeah, I was going to say that really must be, because you could just hear the crowds, the home crowd cheering for the home team, and that must have been a wonderful feeling when that happened.
No, it's amazing, and so many of my friends and family. My mother flew over from Europe to be here, and my father came from England.
From England.
The English mother came to watch.
And my father came here, and so many of my friends have spent a lot of money coming here to watch me, which I really appreciate. And then everybody else, the home crowd, it was fantastic.
So what for you tomorrow? What will you do with your horse?
I don't want to overwork him. I'm going to have to, as we've done the same thing pretty much. We've really focused on the Grand Prix. Obviously, we're here for the team. We're also trying to make sure we qualify for the Olympics. So that's been a huge focus. We honestly haven't really touched on the Grand Prix special since I did the trials in Gladstone. So we're going to run through a little bits and pieces of that, but I do not want to overwork him. I want to make sure he's nice and fresh and happy and still wanting to work.
Right. Tell us about your groom, because we mentioned your groom on the show when you were on before. Tell us who your groom is.
No, I hate that word, groom. And so does he. My groom is my husband, Carl Chandler, and he's just an amazing support for me. It's interesting because I did grooming for so long, and now he's the groom, so we do butt heads occasionally. But he's just fantastic. I mean, he's taken all the pressure off me worrying about the horse. I know the horse is well cared for, and the horse looks fantastic. He's healthy and got a shiny coat, and he's happy. And that makes all the difference. I know I can just walk in, I put the bridle on, and off we go.
Terrific. All right. Well, Carl, we better let you go shortly, because you probably want an early night, don't you?
Yes, please. I'd love it. I'm getting used to the diners. So I've done all the diners in, where am I staying? Georgetown. So yeah, I've done all the diners in Georgetown. But it's interesting. I think what's really nice for people that might listen to this is because I know a lot of people obviously think dressage is elitist. But I mean, this is such a good story with Catherine, who has worked so hard for years being a groom. Although she doesn't like that word. Her husband's now doing we need to rename it.
The crewing.
The crewing. And I was a groom, I come from being a groom as well.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people think that, dressage riders mainly just have a lot of money and just off they go, and they don't do any work, and they haven't worked their way up, or they just hop on a horse at the end. And that's obviously not the case with a lot of riders here as well. And even if you are lucky enough to buy yourself a really good horse, you've still got to ride it. And that is, in some ways, that's even more difficult than, just bringing them on all the way through. Of course, you know them better, but, getting on these horses that somebody else is training is equally difficult. But I think it's really maybe quite inspirational for some people who might be out there now being grooms, talented riders, and it's nice to know that they can keep working and maybe get the rides themselves one day as well.
Anything is possible. And Catherine, I'm sure you want to mention not only your number one crew, but also your owner and the guy behind your success. We have to mention our friend Robert Dover.
Yes, Robert, which has been so great. Oh, sorry, that's Carl Hester.
Don't, for God's sake, take the credit away from Robert. We will not live in it.
Robert, who is here coaching the Canadian team, but at least he's here, and it's been fabulous to be able to look over. He came and watched my test, and he cried, which was it's just been lovely having him here. And my owner, Jane Clark, is here, she's the first owner to have horses in all three disciplines, in dressage, in show jumping, and in driving, which is really special, and she's an incredible support. Nobody could ask for a better owner than her. She's a friend, and she knows when to be there and when to leave, and she's just amazing.
Well, we also want to extend our thanks to Jane Clark. As you rightly say, Catherine, she's been a wonderful supporter to equestrian sport in this country.
Absolutely.
And enabled you to make your way onto the team, your team debut here at the World Equestrian Games for the first time in America as well. It's really a bit of a dream come true as well. It's a fairy tale, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. Sometimes you can't believe it's really happening. Honestly, I know people say that, but it's honestly, I'm in awe of the whole situation.
Well, without those owners, as you know, Carl, you've ridden horses for a lot of different people.
Yeah.
They make it happen for you.
Listen, I mean, if you are like Catherine, where you come from nothing, and or your parents can't support you in this expensive equestrian world, we very much rely on the owners. And like Catherine said with Jane, who's a wonderful person, I know Jane as well, and it's so lovely to see a friendship as well as an ownership.
Sure.
And, I certainly like to think of my owners like that, as well as being owners. They are friends. So it can really be shared, the experience, if you do it the right way. I mean, I think just going out there and expecting somebody just to buy you a horse and you take it and you do your own thing is just not going to work. That doesn't happen for people.
No.
But I mean, being in it's like a family, which is what it turns into, you can really enjoy the experience, everybody very much together.
So who's your personal support crew? Who do you have here?
Well, I have my friend Jane, who's actually, I'm from a little island called Sark in the Channel Islands,
yes.
and which we've talked about before. And Jane is also from one of my small neighbouring islands. And she was, when I first rode for Dr. Bechtelsheimer, because, again, another funny story, here's Laura. I'm on a team now with Laura, and I rode for Dr. B 20 years ago. And Jane was my groom 20 years ago. And now Jane is a big PA to a financial guy in England. And she does a lot of work here now. She's moved on, and that's how she went. And so she tends to come to all these shows with me and my father's wife. So we have two Hesters on the showground, which is quite nice for me to know. And it's just, you don't need to have crowds of people around you. It's just nice to have a couple of people that have come over. I mean, obviously for us coming from England, it's huge expense. And, just to have them here, that we can just have quiet moments and share it if things go wrong, and enjoy it when things go right. But the British team that comes out here is huge.
Yeah.
We have a massive support group. It's not just the other riders. So, I mean, UK Sport send out our nutritionists, our fitness guys, our blacksmiths, our vets, our doctors. I mean, we have a massive contingent here. So I don't think any of us will ever be lonely, put it that way.
Well, you may feel a bit lonely until you get on, when you get on your horse tomorrow, but you'll be so focused. Once you get out there, Carl, you do strut your stuff, and we're looking forward to watching you. I want to wish you the very best of luck, Carl. It's going to be fun to see you out there, and I think I'm going to have a camera on Catherine's expression while you're riding.
Tears of joy as it goes wrong.
Mixed emotions.
Wailing if it goes right, and tears of joy if it goes wrong.
Well, a big heartfelt congratulations, Catherine, to you. A terrific job in your debut on the team. Well done. Enjoy the rest of the games.
I will.
Whatever happens, enjoy the rest of it. The weather's going to brighten up, I believe. We're going to have maybe a little bit more rain for day 2 of the Grand Prix Dressage. Not too much, and then it's going to be sunshine all the way. Carl, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
It's been a pleasure, as always. Thank you very much for having me.
Lovely to have you, and best of luck, as I said, to both of you guys. And you're welcome back to see us, I think, after WEG, when the dust has settled, and you guys are, got your arm around each other again. No matter what happens with the medals, you'll come back and talk to us.
That'd be lovely.
All right, thank you so much, guys. Well, that wraps it up for day 1 of dressage at the Kentucky Horse Park for the Alltech FEI World Equestrian Games. I will be back tomorrow with day 2, yet more guests here on the show, and we're looking forward to bringing you all the action here as we decide on the medals for the Team World Championships here from the Kentucky Horse Park. So thank you all around the world for listening. This is Chris Stafford, and we'll be back tomorrow.
You can find our show notes at dressageradio.com. You can visit us on Facebook, we have a fan page there, or follow us on Twitter at Horse Radio and Chris E. Stafford. You can send me an email at chris@horseradionetwork.com or leave us a voicemail at 270-803-0025. Our thanks again to all our sponsors here and our backstage crew.